The views, information, and opinions expressed during the following program are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent the views of Access Communications, its representatives, or its employees.
I'm Opie and I'm excited to share my journey with you. With that, we are also going to explore learning your intuition and the process of spirit. Join us for this exciting time. How many people have had a psychic medium read? See, that just warms my soul, I have to say. I have to tell you, growing up, you couldn't hear of somebody actually experiencing that. You didn't know of these things. My grandmother was a Reiki master, and it was hush, hush. You know, we laughed when the crystals came in the mail. Now I really appreciate it. So I have to say it's quite the whirlspin. But if you know anything about psychic mediums, they predominantly are what we call clairvoyant. And that means that they can see things. Oddly enough, that is my least predominant clair. I am what we call a claircognizant psychic medium. The information comes in and it goes out. I don't remember anything after, folks. So when you email me Monday saying, "It makes sense now, Opie," I actually won't remember what you're talking about until that TV show airs and I can rewatch it, right? This is my friend Laurie. Hi, Laurie.
Hi, Opie.
How are you?
Oh, I'm so excited to be here with you.
Oh, my friend.
So many things to chat about. I'm
Yes.
excited to hear about your journey.
Oh, thank you so much. You know, it's funny, Laurie, being here is reminding me of all the pieces of my past and how I started Spirit. But interestingly enough, my friend, I did not start here with my expansion.
Wow, that's incredible. We've been friends for quite a little while now, and this is really the first time I'm hearing about you and hearing about your journey.
Yes, that's right. And did you know it started all the way back in Winnipeg?
So I actually thought you were from here. So tell me, who was Opie?
Yeah, so Opie was actually born in St. Catharines, Ontario. And when I was 2 years old, we moved to Winnipeg,
Wow.
which was a happy place for me. That was living behind a forest. As a child, I always saw a lot of spirits coming to me through my closet.
Wow.
It's amazing, hey?
That's
They would
incredible.
stand around my bed and they would try and talk to me at night.
So even from a young age, you were already experiencing and channeling spirit. What was that like for you?
It was a little overwhelming. I have to tell you, my parents thought I had the wildest imagination. And with that, my brother still speaks of my night terrors.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
this is something your whole family has really experienced in depth, but at that age, they weren't really sure what was going on.
Yeah, they told me I had a really great imagination, which is hilarious because who knew? So
Who knew?
when I experienced all these spirits trying to talk to me and connect to me, I thought that was imagination.
Yeah.
So I learned pretty early on that that wasn't something to share. That wasn't something to talk about because it was just an imagination.
You were really encouraged to keep your abilities quiet.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So when did you learn that these were not, in fact, your imagination, but abilities?
You know, I don't think I really did until much later in my journey, even as an adult when I opened up. Until then, I wasn't really aware that that was me connecting.
Wow.
I never knew I had abilities. I never understood that, but I always knew about people. I knew about people's emotions. I knew about their stresses, and I could kind of sense and read them at an early age.
You were just so tuned in, and at the time you didn't realize that there was more to it. It wasn't just that psychology, but there was something more spiritual happening.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff happening there for sure. And there wasn't much awareness or support or recognition to be able to help me in that position. Yeah, it was kind of interesting looking back. I loved exploring the forest, but I always knew the shadow people were there.
Okay, so this forest behind your house.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about your experience?
Yeah, we spent many hours in the forest exploring things, checking out different pieces of time. I had this way of always finding artifacts of the past. So that was kind of neat too when I look back and explore the different timepieces I would connect to.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, and from there, there was many souls that would speak to me, that would come to me through there, and it was a little overwhelming. I didn't really know what to do with that, but I knew I felt safe there. I knew it was pleasant.
Wow, so your abilities really started quite young and you weren't really aware what it was, told it was your imagination. Yes. And even though you were really tuning into people's emotions and who they were and picking up on things, you still really weren't sure what this was.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then we got the news that we were coming to Regina. My father was going to start his company here, and our world was about to change.
Oh, wow. So what age were you when you came from the east to Regina?
So I was about 8 years old and I was about to start grade 2, and I still remember walking this path as a child going to school.
Wow, this is so powerful. So this path that we're on right now,
yes,
this is part of your childhood.
That's right. I still remember the nerves going to school with the anticipation of the unknown, because everything I had known in Winnipeg, I knew. Here was all new.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to share with you my parents' home and little pieces of my past there as well.
All right, let's get going.
Yeah. Go on in there, Laurie, and check it out.
Wow, this is incredible. Where are we?
This is my childhood home and the bedroom that I stayed in since we moved here from Winnipeg.
So this was the first place that you set foot when you came to Regina?
Yes, this was the place that I hold a lot of unique memories, but a lot of challenges as well. There was a lot of development that happened from my journey here on.
Okay, so this was really the foundation of what Opie is built on.
Yes, that's right. And it's kind of amazing, Laurie, because when I think about this, I had some very unique experiences.
Okay, do you want to tell us about Opie as a child?
Yeah, so Opie was, felt hard here. Like there was a lot of emotional challenges, a lot of not understanding my purpose here. Everything was very different. I didn't have the forest, so I spent a lot of time outside, but it was different energy, different people, different experiences.
Coming here, there was just such a big shift and you really had to learn about how to be here.
Yes, it was interesting. I never really fit in everywhere I went. One of the unique experiences I remember as a child in this house actually was in the basement. I was down there playing, and all of a sudden one of my brother's toys elevated in front of me. And it literally went up above my head and then dropped on the floor, and I think I ran up those stairs so fast I couldn't go down there for a few months for sure. Wow. And then from there, I'll never forget the dream I had. So this wasn't a unique experience. This was something that a lot of healers do experience at some point in their journey, but I think I was between the ages of 8 to 9. I went to bed one night and I had this wild dream of an angelic being. I'll never forget the emotions and the power of it, Laurie. It was overwhelming, the joy, the love, these beautiful emotions, and I'll never forget the light that shone behind this individual, this spirit. I don't even know what to call it really, but they touched my left hand right here. And from there, my abilities turned off.
So you were in your basement and this angelic being shone its light down on you. And
I was dreaming. So it was after that I had this dream, and that was the experience I had.
Wow.
And when I woke up, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, that was so wild. And I was so excited to go to bed for the first time, I think my entire life, hoping I would connect to it again.
Oh, wow.
But from there, I had a lot of challenges growing up, feeling a lot of different intense feelings and emotions with people, a lot of anger that I didn't know how to process.
I know you'd mentioned previously that you experienced other people's emotions. You were so tuned in. What did that feel like for you?
Well, and that I think was the empathic abilities I always had. So I always felt the environment, the people around me, the different emotions other people felt. And I think that's why I had such a hard time with my emotions and separating any place that I was. So I did enjoy being alone, but I did enjoy being around people too.
Mm-hmm. You had some challenges. You would internalize other people's emotions, and to have at such a young age, that must have felt really scary for you.
It was, but there were some blessings with that as well. I grew up as a dancer, and that was something that I found peace in. That was something that I really enjoyed, that I could just lose myself and be in the experience. And the community of people I connected to there was really significant for me too.
Despite everything that happened, all the challenges, you had some beautiful moments.
Yeah.
That really helped you to just grow and become who you are.
Yeah, it was really a blessing. And I find looking back at my journey, no matter how many challenges there was always blessings with the challenges. So that was a really great thing in my path. Mm-hmm. And Laurie, I have to tell you about this soul here. This is my grandmother, Eileen. She just recently transitioned at 105 years old. But through the house, you'll see a lot of crystals of hers. Mm-hmm. You'll see a lot of connection pieces. Later in her life, when her husband transitioned, she explored kind of similar path to me. So she did tarot, she did oracle, but she became a Reiki master. So that works in the energy realm.
You've always been so inspired by such incredibly powerful women.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, even early on, wow.
Well, you know, it's funny because she would send us so many packages, so many letters, so many different pieces and items, and our family was not open to it. We grew up Roman Catholic, oddly enough, and my father would be like, why is she sending us these rocks? And my mother would be asking, why is she sending me these books? What am I supposed to do with this? So I never really understood the items she sent me, but now looking back, I always wonder if she knew. If she knew that I had abilities, or she knew pieces of my path.
Your grandma would leave little breadcrumbs for you along the way.
She really did,
Yeah.
looking back at the letters and different things like that. And she and I always had a really special relationship. So I was really grateful for that looking back, because I think she knew. And I think she was giving me pieces of her to carry forward in my journey to come. It was interesting too, because through this is where the tools started developing for me. I had a lot of chaos in my journey, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of challenging situations, but I really look back now and I'm so grateful for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, looking back, you know, your grandma, although she was a big part of your life, she was still kind of in the background.
Yeah.
And so it kind of felt like you were going along this journey alone.
Yes, I really felt isolated in my feelings, isolated in my understandings, but also really trying to find myself. I didn't know who I was anymore. Mm-hmm. It was kind of different when I got closed off. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know where I was meant to be, and I did not know how I was supposed to fit in. So it was kind of a lonely path and a challenging path, but as we know now, there is purpose always in the most lost of times.
Yeah. That path that was so lonely and dark and scary, there was a light at the end of the tunnel.
There really was, but who knew that there was even more to dive into?
I can't wait to hear about everything else too.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to have to take you to the next step in my journey, which was a really big catalyst for me. But until then, I had to forge my path by myself. And there was a lot of connection pieces in it, but there was a lot of challenges. I really struggled with depression. And I really struggled with school. I learned different than other people. My brain has always been different. And I have to say, as a teenager, I got really off track, my friends.
You've just been taking in so much information for years and years, so that really affected your learning, and it affected how you feel about yourself and your life.
And I was learning unconsciously to bring it to a conscious way later on to help people. So at the lost times, there was always guidance throughout. And I can't wait to take you to the next place of my journey where it all began. Gosh, Laurie, I have to tell you, I get a little emotional thinking about being here. This is such a special time for me and unique part of my journey.
Wow. But where are we right now?
So this is actually a very significant place for me. This is where my first pregnancy was. Up to this point, I had moved out from my parents' home early, and I had experienced homes, I had experienced homelessness, I had gone tree planting, I had worked multiple jobs. I had a lot of significant, impactful challenges in my journey. And lo and behold, I got blessed with my angel. I call him my angel because he really gave me purpose. He gave me reason to get solid in who I was and to bring forth what my journey was going to be.
Wow. That first pregnancy, he was your angel inside of you and your guidance to becoming who you are now.
Yeah, he really kind of made me look at where I was and where I wanted to be in my path. And it was interesting because when I was pregnant, I was in my 3rd trimester, moving into this beautiful home with my partner then. And I have to tell you, this was the first time that I had my experience with spirit since the dream.
So you lost your abilities when you had that dream, and then throughout those years you lost a bit of yourself. And then you were blessed with this angel, which brought you back.
Yeah, it really gave me focus and purpose in my life. And I was excited. I was excited to have my family. I was excited to have what was to be my husband then, and to experience the life that we had dreamt of together with our beautiful son. And when I was pregnant, I had decorated the whole home with pictures of my childhood from Winnipeg specifically. That's where my grandmother, my father's mother, was. And every time I left the room, the picture frames would go face down. So I was terrified. And when I told my partner then what was happening, he didn't believe it in the beginning. But we started testing the dressers, we started slamming doors and seeing how all the pictures with me as a child would go face down. His would stay up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a little creepy, I have to say.
Yeah.
And I actually went to my neighbor at the time and asked her, do you know if this place is haunted? Because at the time I saw spirit as ghosts, and they terrified me because of my experiences as a child. And she went blank white, and she was like, why are you asking me this? Right? So then I had to explain what was happening. And this happened more and more frequently. So all of a sudden, I would walk out of the bedroom, speak to my partner in the hallway, and we'd look back and all the pictures would be down that were of me as a child. So I reached out to my mom, who then quickly reached out to my grandma, her mother, who was the Reiki master.
The grandma that we saw in the photos.
What are the chances? So then She consulted her intuitive friends, and they said that it was my grandmother who passed right before I got pregnant with my angel.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your grandmother was there to protect you.
Yes.
And that was her sharing with you that she was with you.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. And she gave me a prayer. She gave me something to do to recognize spirit. And after that, we never had an issue. She just wanted to let me know that she was there, she was supporting me, and she was excited for this child to come. Now, with that, our marriage dissolved very quickly. We were young, we were in love, and once we got married, my partner recognized that he might have not made a choice that aligned with what he wanted in the long run. Mm-hmm. It was heartbreaking, but we decided to proceed with the divorce. And his mother at the time gifted me an astrology read. So this is something that they look at the stars, they look at your birth time, and they can see many things about your journey. Well, he looked at my chart and he said, wow, I want to see you in 20 years. It was very unique, it was very specific, and it was unlike anything he had ever seen before.
When was this?
This was when I was about 21 and my son was almost 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many years ago was that?
Oh my gosh, you're dating me now, Laurie. We're talking about 21 years ago now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
And actually, go figure you say that because look at where I am now.
So
right?
he really predicted something big for you.
He saw a really big transformation. He saw a really big journey, but he saw how unique my chart was. He said he's only seen one other chart like mine in his entire career.
Wow, that is so empowering.
Yeah, I never knew then. I was like, what is this guy talking about?
This was also new to you, and you weren't really recognizing that you were channeling at this point.
No, I had no idea. If anything, I was just terrified of spirit, of ghosts, and I had the hardest time with it. It was really interesting experience. But from there, we stepped forward to a lot of challenges. I experienced my son having significant health issues, traveling back and forth to Saskatoon, constantly having a hard time keeping a job. From there, I all of a sudden connected to the next partner in my journey, which I have to tell you was a soulmate in many ways. But when people say soulmate, they usually think it's a good thing. To me now, I see soulmate as somebody that's going to clear your entire plate and overhaul everything you thought you were going to be, and where you're headed to. It was a bit of a wild ride from there.
Wow.
So from here was the beginning and the pieces of me. And everything in between to now where I'm going to take you next was a whole different ballpark. I invite you to explore me on social media with Instagram, Facebook, or my website, opieconnection.ca. You never have to be alone in your challenges. I am here to connect you to clarity and to support you, walking with you in your journey.
If you'd like to share your feedback on the program you just watched, contact us today.